So the given problem statement is GH of S K upon S into S plus 3 into S plus 5. Now in this given open loop transfer function, in first step we need to decide what? Different branch details, where you need to decide number of poles, number of zeros, and based on that you can decide the number of root locus branches, and again how many root locus branches will approach to infinity in search of zero for termination. So here we are considering P is equal to 3, that is the number of open loop pole. There are 3 poles, one at 0, one at -3 and one at -5. There is no open loop 0 defined in this open loop transfer function. That's what Z value is 0. The number of root locus branches is equal to the factor which is greater, like P. Here P is 3, so number of root locus branches will be 3. As we know, root locus will always start from open loop pole for K is equal to 0, and it will approach towards available 0 for its termination for K is equal to infinity. So as there are 3 open loop poles, so there will be 3 root locus branches. As Z is 0, all 3 root locus which will start from the available open loop poles will approach towards infinity for its termination. Okay. So in second step, you need to draw the pole 0 plot for the given open loop transfer function. You have to locate given poles and zeros in S plane. So there are 3 poles, one at 0, one at -3, one at -5. So these 3 poles you will locate on real axis, and that pole 0 plot will look like this. Okay? First pole, second pole, third pole, and there is no 0. Once you have this pole 0 plot, the next step is what? We need to decide the real axis loci. Now in this step, we need to decide which part or segment of real axis will lie on root locus. So in order to decide which part of the real axis will available on root locus, we have a rule. As per that rule, what you can say, for checking existence of any point on root locus, we need to check the summation of poles and zeros to the right side of a point under consideration. If the sum of poles and zeros to the right side of a point is odd, then that point will lie on root locus. For example, now for this pole 0 plot, your first pole is there at origin, S is equal to 0. Now for this point, how many poles and zeros are there to the right side of this? 0, which is even count. So this 0 will lie on root locus. And while applying this root locus real axis loci rule, we should not apply this rule to the given open loop poles and zeros, because these given poles and zeros are by default a part of root locus. Root locus will always start from available 0, and if 0 is given, then one of the root locus will approach to that. That means given open loop poles and zeros will always lie on root locus. So we need to apply this rule just to check the segment between given poles and zeros, like in between 0 to 3. We want to test whether the real axis segment between S is equal to 0 to S is equal to -3 will lie on root locus or not. For that, we will check summation of poles and zeros to the right side of all points in between 0 to 3, whether that summation is odd or what. So if you consider any point in between 0 to -3, let us say -0.1, which is just left to S is equal to 0. Now, if we consider -0.1, then to the right side of that point, how many poles and zeros are there? There is only one, which is odd count. That means summation of poles and zeros is odd. That's what that -0.1 will lie on root locus. And same case is applicable for all points till S is equal to -3. That's what the real axis in between 0 to -3 is highlighted. It is thickened line indicating it is a root locus. Now all points in between -3 to -5, let us say -3.1. Now how many poles and zeros are there to the right side of that minus 3.1? There are two open loop pole, one at 0, one at minus 3. So count is even. That means for the point under consideration, that is minus 3.1, is having even number of poles and zeros to the right side. So that point cannot lie on root locus. And same case is applicable for all points in between minus 3 to minus 5. That's what the real axis segment in between 3 to minus 5 is not highlighted. Are you getting? Runda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then minus 5, it is a given open loop pole. So by default, it is there on root locus. Now all points from minus 5 to minus infinity, they are all having odd count to the right side of it, like 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 poles to the right side of all points from minus 5 onwards. That means the real axis segment from minus 5 to infinity will be a part of root locus. Okay? That's what that segment is highlighted, right? It is shown with dark. So this way we need to decide the real axis loci, in which we will decide which segment of real axis will be a part of root locus. Once you decide that, then we have to decide number of asymptote, angle of asymptote, and centroid point. Now what is this asymptote? This asymptote is nothing but the straight line that we need as a guideline to carry root locus towards infinity for its termination. As we already discussed, root locus will always start from pole for k is equal to 0, and it will be terminated at open loop 0 for k equal to infinity. So there are 3 cases for this. If suppose number of pole is greater than number of 0, in that case p minus z branches will approach towards infinity in search of 0, and z number of branches will approach towards available 0 for its termination. Now for this given transfer function, we are having only 3 open loop pole and there is no 0. P is equal to 3, z is equal to 0. So how many branches will approach towards infinity? P minus z. That means 3 minus 0, that is 3. All 3 root locus branches will move towards infinity. Now the root locus branches moving to infinity need some guidelines. In what direction they should approach towards infinity. That is nothing but this asymptote lines. So that asymptotes are nothing but the straight line that you have to draw from real axis from a particular point called as centroid. So you need to decide a centroid point on real axis. From that point, you need to draw the straight line at an angle called as angle of asymptote. So angle of asymptote is decided by the formula, that is theta is equal to 2q plus 1 into 180 degree upon p minus z, where q will vary from 0, 1, 2 till p minus z minus 1. So in our case, how many q value will consider? 0, 1, p minus z minus 1. That means 3 minus 1, 2. So there will be 3 q values, that is 0, 1, 2. So you will put that q value in the theta equation and you will find out 3 angle of asymptote, that is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. So this way you can find out the angles, like theta 1 is equal to 2 into 0, that q equal to 0 plus 1 into 180 degree upon 3 minus 0, 60 degree angle. Similarly, theta 2, putting the value of q as 1, we will get second angle of asymptote, that is 180 degree. And similarly, you can find out third angle, that is theta 3, that will come out to be 300, where the value of q will be 2. 2 into 2, 4 plus 1, 5. 5 into 180 upon 3. That will give third angle, that is 300 degree. So once you calculate all these 3 angles, then we'll decide the centroid point, from which point on real axis you will draw this 3 asymptotes. To decide the centroid point, your formula is sigma c is equal to summation of pi minus summation of zi upon p minus z, where this pi is nothing but summation of a real part of pole and summation of zi is nothing but summation of a real part of zeros. So putting the values of that, so there are three poles. One is at 0, so its real part is 0. Second pole is there at -3, so its real part is -3. Third pole is there at -5, whose real part is -5. So we'll take summation of this -3 -5. Then we'll subtract the summation of zeros. In given sum, there is no 0, so its real part is 0. So in numerator, we will have -3 -5 -8 upon 3. That will give -2.66 as a centroid point. Now this sigma c is equal to -2.66. You will point on real axis, from where you will draw the three asymptote lines. Okay. Are you getting? Anuja?
Yes, sir.
Then once we decide that centroid point, next step is to decide the breakaway point. Breakaway point is a point for which, or for the given value of k, the say multiple roots can have same location in S-plane. So whenever you want to go for this breakaway point coordination calculation, first of all, we'll apply three general prediction. Based on that, you can decide whether to go for this step or you can ignore this step. This step is not compulsory. So to go for this calculation, first you'll apply the general prediction. There are three general predictions. First prediction, what is that? Whenever you are having two adjacently placed poles and the segment between them is a real axis, is a root locus. In pole zero plot, if you are having two adjacently placed poles and the segment between that two poles is a root locus, then minimum one breakaway point will lie in between them. Similarly, in pole zero plot, if you are having adjacently placed zeros and segment between them is a root locus, then minimum one breakaway point can lie in between the two zero. And third prediction says, if in pole zero plot, if the extreme left factor is open loop 0, that means in your pole zero plot, after locating all poles and zeros, leftmost factor is suppose open loop 0, and to the left of that 0, complete real axis is a root locus. In that case, minimum one breaking point can be there to the left of that extreme left open loop 0. Breakaway point is a point where two root locus will collide with each other and they will leave the real axis and they will enter into complex plane. That means at breakaway point, your closed loop pole will be converted from real nature to complex. Breaking point is nothing but a point where your complex pole will be converted into real one. Means root locus will came from complex plane and they will enter into real axis. Okay. Now, after checking this general prediction, if breakaway point is required for the given sum, then we'll go for the calculation of it. To decide the breakaway point coordinate, we need to write the characteristics equation. That is nothing but 1 plus g of s, h of s is equal to 0. And we will rearrange this characteristics equation such that we will separate out s term and k term, so that you will write the equation of k as a function of s. Like we'll write down what k is equal to f of s. Okay, so we'll do 1 plus g of s h of s. The value of g of s h of s is k upon s into s plus 3 into s plus 5 is equal to 0. After rearranging this, your equation for k will be minus s cube minus 8 square minus 15s. Once you got this k equation, you'll take the derivative of k with respect to s and you will equate with 0 and you will obtain the roots. Take derivative of k with respect to s and that will equate with 0 and we'll get the roots of it this way. So now derivative dk by ds, that equation will give minus 3s square minus 16s square minus 15 is equal to 0. That can be rewrite as this 3s square plus 16s square plus 15 is equal to 0. Now for this polynomial, you can obtain the roots which are coming s is equal to minus 4.11 and s is equal to minus 1.21. Now there are two breakaway points. These two breakaway points are valid for the complete range of k, that is 0 to infinity. Now you have to decide which one breakaway point is valid for the given transfer function. So if you look at the pole 0 plot and real axis loci, you can say s is equal to minus 1.21 will be the valid breakaway point as a general prediction. As a general prediction, we should have what? We should have two adjacently placed poles. So these two are adjacently placed poles. So minimum one breakaway point must lie in between these two. And after calculation, we have got the point that is minus 1.21. That's what you can say, this will be the valid breakaway point in our case. Okay. Once we decide that breakaway point, then next step is to decide the angle of departure. Now this angle of departure and angle of arrival calculation is required for the transfer function where complex pole and zeros are defined. In this sum, no complex pole and zeros are given. We are having only real poles. So we can skip this step 7. So we'll go for next step, that is calculation of intersection point with imaginary axis. Now this step gives us what? Whether root locus will cross imaginary axis or what. So to have this j omega crossover point, we need to write the characteristics equation, and for the characteristic equation, we'll write the root array. Okay. So characteristics equation is nothing 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. So 1 plus value of g of s h of s, and that will equate with 0. You will solve it, so that will get this s polynomial of order 3, and for this polynomial we'll construct the root array. We already discussed root array. This root array can be used to comment on system stability with respect to location of closed loop pole in S-plane. Now here the significance of this root array is what? We want to check the system is marginally stable or what. Your system is marginally stable if you are having poles on imaginary axis. For the certain value of k called as k marginal value, we will have some pole on imaginary axis. So here for the given polynomial, we'll construct this kind of root array, S cube row, where we can put all even coefficient, that is A0, A2 and A5, sorry, A4, which is 0. Then S square row is constructed using all odd coefficient like A1, A3 and A5, which is 0. Then third row will be constructed using first two row, where we have to take the product of this first coefficient of S square row and second coefficient of S cube row, that is 8 into 15 minus first coefficient of S cube row multiplied by second coefficient of S square row. So 15 is the 120 minus k into 1 k upon this first coefficient of S square. Then this will be 0, that is 8 into third coefficient of S cube, that is 0, minus 1 into 0 upon 8. So that will give 0. And last coefficient, that is the coefficient of S0 row, can be obtained using S1 row and S square row. So this way you will get the root array. Now in this root array, as you want to use this root array to decide the intersection of root locus with imaginary axis, we will assume special case 2 for root array, where we will have row of zeros. So in this root array, we need to consider the row of 0. For that, this S0 row, you can make a row of 0 by keeping k equal to 0. But if you put k equal to 0 in this, in that case, the constant value or constant term of this polynomial will become 0. In that case, this polynomial will violate the necessary condition. What that necessary condition says? Coefficient of all s power term must be there, so that you can say all pole will lie in left half of S plane. That's what you cannot make this k is equal to 0. Now we will try for this S1 row. In S1 row, if you compare this with 0, or if you replace this term with 0, then you can say this S1 row is a row of 0. So let us consider this as 0. So you compare this 120 minus k upon 8 with 0, so that you can calculate the k value, which value will be called as k marginal value. So 120 minus k upon 8 is equal to 0. So k will come out to be 120. Now, once we consider rho of 0, obviously we need to write the auxiliary equation A of s. That auxiliary equation you have to write using the coefficient of the row just above the row of 0. So here we consider S1 row as a row of 0. So using coefficient of this S square row, we have to write the auxiliary equation A of s. So A of s equation will become 8s square plus k. So your auxiliary equation will be 8s square plus k. Now, by putting the k marginal value in this, we will obtain the roots of this auxiliary equation. That will give the point on imaginary axis where the root locus will intersect with imaginary axis. So 8 square plus 120 and its roots will be s is equal to plus minus j 3.87. So your root locus will intersect imaginary axis at 2 point, one at plus j 3.87 and second at minus j 3.87. Okay, so we have gone through all the steps. So finally we can draw the complete root locus like this. Horizontal axis, that is the sigma axis, that is real axis. Vertical axis, that is nothing but j omega axis, that is the imaginary axis. Three poles are located, one at 0, one at minus 3, one at minus 5. Then as per real axis loci, the real axis in between 0 to minus 3 is a root locus. Then the segment in between minus 5 to minus 6 is again a root locus. We already calculated centroid point. That point was minus 2.66. So you locate that centroid point. Now from this centroid point, you need to draw the three asymptotes at angle 60 degree, 180 degree and 300 degree. So there are three straight lines. First line is drawn at an angle of 60 degrees starting from centroid point minus 2.66. Second asymptote is drawn at an angle of 180 degree. And third asymptote is drawn at an angle of 300 degree. Okay. Then again we have calculated breakaway point whose coordinate comes out to be minus 1.21. So this is nothing but a breakaway point. Now if we look at this nature of root locus, what we can say, there are three open loop poles, there is no 0. There are three open loop poles means there will be three root locus branches. So one branch will start from s is equal to 0. Second branch will start from s is equal to minus 3. Third root locus branch will start from s is equal to minus 5. Now the root locus starting from 0 and root locus starting from minus 3, both are approaching towards breakaway point which is there at minus 1.21. At breakaway point, these both root locus will collide with each other and they will leave the real axis at an angle of 90 degree, that is 180 degree upon n, where n is the number of root locus branches approaching to breakaway point. They will leave this real axis at an angle of 90 degree and then they will follow toward asymptote lines. After leaving real axis, root locus will follow to asymptote. Now asymptote is crossing imaginary axis. So your root locus will also cross imaginary axis. That's what we need to find out, the intersection point of root locus with imaginary axis. That we have already calculated from last step, that is j omega crossover point. That point was minus plus minus j 3.87. So 3j and somewhere here this root locus will intersect with imaginary axis, that is plus 3.87j and minus 3.87j. So at these 2 points your root locus will cross and then they will move towards plus infinity along with the asymptote and minus infinity along with this asymptote. So this is a complete sketch of your root locus. Now looking at the nature of this root locus, how will you comment on system stability? Whether your system will be stable absolutely for the complete range of k? Haripriya?
If all the poles are on the left side or on the y-axis, then the system will be stable.
Now root locus nature is there on the screen. Looking at that, can you comment?
Yeah, the system is stable.
Yes, system is stable.
Stable for the complete range of k? See, we have already calculated K marginal. That K marginal is out. What was your K marginal value? 120. So what you can say for K equal to 0 to 120, your closed loop poles are there in left half of S plane. So till K equal to 120, your system is absolutely stable. But as soon as your system gain K becomes 120, for that K equal to 120, you are having two poles on imaginary axis. So whenever you are having poles on imaginary axis, what you can say, your system becomes marginally stable, and system response will have oscillation. And again, if you keep on increasing K, so when K becomes greater than 120, like 120 or 130, then your closed loop poles have already crossed imaginary axis, and your closed loop poles are there in right half of S plane. That means your system becomes unstable. So your system is stable for the range of K, that is 0 to 120. At K equal to 120, your system will become marginally stable, and thereafter your system will become unstable. Okay, did you understand? Anuja,
Yes, sir.
how many participants are there? I can see only 2.
Sir, I have solved this question. This question is from UT2 now.
No, that I haven't checked. Okay, so now you can cross check your answer with
So
this.
I have solved this question, but the curve, my curve is not intersecting the angle of asymptotes which we have drawn.
How come? What angle you got in that solution?
Sir, angles are same, 60 degree, 180 degree and 300 degree.
Then what is the difference? This intersection point.
Yes, no sir, intersection point is also plus minus 3.87 J.
Then what is the issue?
The curve is not intersecting to that angle.
It must intersect, no? Because whenever root locus leaves the real axis, no, then they will follow to asymptote. Now, as you are having the line which is drawn at 60 degree, obviously this 60 degree line is crossing imaginary axis. Again, line which is drawn at 300 degree is crossing imaginary axis. So your root locus must cross imaginary axis. Are you getting?
Yes.
So obviously your root locus must cross this imaginary axis. So these are the point, and that K marginal or that J 3.87 is nothing but omega value. That is a J omega crossover frequency. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So can we see another problem?
Yes, sir.
So that problem is also solved. You just try for this. Okay. So given transfer function is what? G of s, h of s is equal to k upon s into s plus 4 into s square plus 4s plus 20. Now in this given open loop transfer function, how many poles are there? One at 0, one at minus 4, and this is what your complex pole, 4. S square plus 4s plus 20. So if you obtain the roots of it, you will get 2 poles, complex poles. So 2 real poles are there and 2 complex poles are there, and there is again no 0. So pole 0 plot of that will look like this. One pole is there at 0, one pole is there at minus 4, and these are nothing but 2 complex poles. That is minus 2 plus J4, and fourth pole is at minus 2 minus J4, isn't it? Then you will have a real axis loci. Real axis loci means you need to decide which segment of real axis will lie on root locus. So 0 to minus 4, real axis in between 0 to minus 4